guys, Phoenix Aurelius here. It's a hot July morning or almost early afternoon, and we're taking care of the tomatoes. As you can see, we've got these awesome tomato cages, and our tomatoes are always heavily pruned. We try and clip off almost all of the unproductive vines because it stops the tomatoes from sending energy towards the veg phase, and it starts to put it towards flower and fruiting phase, so you get much higher Brix content and nutritional content of your tomatoes. Also, the unproductive vines don't help you produce any more tomatoes, so it's not like you're sacrificing the quantity of them. But also, when they're like this, they're less prone to disease, and especially powdery mildew, tobacco mosaic virus, all these other different types of diseases that tomatoes and nightshades are traditionally prone to. And so what we're constantly doing is just pruning, tucking, and training them. As you can see, we're constantly twisting them and getting them to go around the different layers. We're trying to keep all of the flowers right around the outside in a place that's easily able to be pollinated by bees and other native pollinators, and easy for us to harvest the fruit. And if I stick my hand down in here, easy for us to come in and reach down and get the fruit from all angles and sides. Plus, it creates really good wind and sun exposure, and there's nothing better than a good sun-ripened tomato. So what we're doing, this one still isn't completely taken care of, and I want you to just pay attention to what I'm doing here. This is an unproductive vine. You can tell because it's not flowering. A productive vine is going to have these little flowers that shoot off. This is unproductive, this is unproductive, that is productive. So what we're doing is taking off especially this thicker unproductive vine, and what we ultimately do is we collect these in a bucket, which you'll see right over here, and then we grind it down either with a lawnmower or a weed whacker, and combine it with some minerals and some compost, ideally vermiculture compost, and then you top dress down the top of the tomatoes, because this contains all of the nutrition from the soil in a form that is completely bioavailable to the tomato. And so we top dress right around the root base pretty heavily, actually, so that the tomatoes constantly have fruit. And you can see this mound right here that is forming at the base of this tomato, for instance. And all we do is constantly lift up our drip line and then scoot away our straw, and then we top dress down all of our tomatoes with this fresh mulch. And it has leaf mold, it has fresh greens in it from the trimming process that we're doing here, and then it also contains compost. And then we spray that down with the compost tea preparation, and that makes all of the nutrition bioavailable. So tomatoes are awesome because they're really easy to train and they like to be massaged. So if I just try and bend this tomato really hard, it's going to snap. But if I take it between my fingers and I massage the stalks here and just kind of get them to bend in the direction that I want, you'll notice that the stalk develops a certain suppleness that is able to be tucked and trained really easily. And now I can take this and bend it and get it to go exactly where I want, again with these flowers right up near the outside and really easily able to be pollinated. And so we're just going to do that same thing with a couple more of these. Get the flowers in around all of the trellising. This one's going to be a little bit trickier. It's a little bit thicker there, and as you can see, I've got a little trimmed stalk that's going to make it even harder to trim. So I trim that back as far as I possibly can, and then we're going to massage right around that. Also, when you're trimming, just as I'm thinking about it, when you're trimming, you always want to make sure that your trimming scissors are really sharp. If it's really sharp, then the tomatoes won't develop any sort of disease, and you can cut them very precisely and they'll just scab over easily. If not, though, it's going to create quite a problem. So what we're doing is just carefully massaging, tucking that up and over, and then we'll see really carefully if we can do that. Now, this is a productive vine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take an unproductive vine here, and slip that off, and because I want these flowers to stay in place, instead of using agricultural twine, which you could definitely do, just grabbing one of the leaves here and tucking and twisting that around. And this one may not be the very best example of that. I might have to grab just a slightly different one here. Let me try and grab a longer unproductive vine. There we go. I'm going to slice this out just like that. Pull off some of this. And then just try and wrap this around. It's kind of giving me a little bit of a hard time here. I've got my hands kind of full. We'll do it like this though. There we go. And now that is staying right around there. The unproductive vine will just fall away over time and the tomato will be trained to this area. So just doing this with everything that we've got and making sure that we have nice, tight, tucked, trim tomatoes that are perfect for pollination and easy to harvest. Not to mention self-fertilizing.